Hey everyone, Temporal here, and today we are addressing some main tank struggles, as you can see here. What we've specifically got is someone complaining that when they play main tank and they push, their team doesn't push with them and they just don't know what to do. So that's a common enough complaint. The answers to this aren't too complicated. The first and most basic thing of if your team isn't pushing when you push is going to be, hey, your team probably can't. You need to take a look, and if we jump over here, I've got Stat Banana pulled up, and we can see that, hey, if you're trying to push, when say as Reinhardt, when let's say your Anna and your Hanzo are back here, you might go in and even the teammates that can push are going to go, yeah, we're not doing that. And you're going to be unhappy. So that's the first thing. That's the most obvious thing. That is honestly what like 6, 7 out of 10 times the problem is. Or maybe there's someone bothering your back line. Maybe you've got a flanker. Sigma's not really a flanker in this case. Sigma wouldn't really go out here, but they've got someone bothering them when you try to push, so you don't get support and you get eliminated. So really, the first thing, the biggest thing, the piece that'll help most people is right before you push, while you've still got that cover, do a quick turnaround and look, hey, where are my teammates? Are my teammates actually here? And they don't strictly have to be stacked right on top of you or right behind you. They can be in positions like Tracer is, where, hey, Tracer's actually already through, but she's not yet in the fight, but she's prepared to enter the fight. Or Hanzo is standing over here, but Hanzo's prepared to climb up. I'm showing Hanamura here, and he's prepared to climb up and shoot through the window if we push. So they'll be in the fight within about a second and a half, 2 seconds maximum if I start the fight. That's really what you're looking for. That is the first piece. That is the biggest piece. And our writer today is telling us, hey, I'm already doing that. That's not the problem. I have no idea if that's true or not. I'm not looking at the game. I know this person comments on some of my videos, so has seen some of my videos. I believe they're in the Discord. Great for them. If you guys want to join my Discord, that's in the description down below. So, like, they totally could be. I hope they are checking on their team. They have that good feel, and they're pushing when their team is capable of pushing. And what they're running into is sometimes their team is going, no, we just want to play this poke at the choke game. Because in lower level games, and we can see this is between 1800 and 2000, so lower level game, you do sometimes as a main tank run into a situation where your team wants to just poke. Maybe your whole team believes it's the DPS jobs to get a pick before you're supposed to push in. And you're confusing your team by walking in there and getting blown up before your DPS have gotten a pick. That's not actually the right way to play the game, to go, oh, our DPS are just supposed to get a pick. But some of them are going to suffer from that illusion, or they haven't really thought about it, or they're like, well, we don't walk until we're ahead. Something along those lines. And that's not really fully right. There's something to trading for an advantage before a push, and you can actually manipulate that, and I'll get into that later as another solution. But the first thing that I would really get into, or rather the second thing, because we have already covered the first thing, which is really make sure your team is in a position where they can push, is going to be you want to set the pace early. Like, you literally from the beginning of the match want to set the pace that we're doing pushes. As soon as you walk out of spawn on offense, you go, hey, you walk up, maybe you get there a little bit ahead of your team, so you wait 2 to 3 seconds for your team to actually get to this initial choke, and then you go. You just go, nope, we are walking. There is no, oh, we're going to trade for resources. We're going to try to get a pick. No, you set the pace immediately that as soon as you guys got here, you're going in. And that actually helps because it puts them on the page. Even if you immediately get blown up, it sets the pace of this is how you are going to play tank. This is what you are going to do. You are going to push when you have people. And you really want to do that immediately. You actually want to do that before any of your teammates have a chance to get picked. Because if it's after any of your teammates have had a chance to get picked, you're going to have to wait for them. And then your team is going to be like, oh, we're just going to sit around, choke, and twiddle our thumbs and maybe lob damage at the enemy, and that'll work out. So, like, even if you go in there and immediately get blown up and destroyed, that can actually be helpful in some of these lower level games as everyone's learning to really just establish the pace that this is what you're going to do. And then after your push fails, maybe you get blown up, maybe a few other people on your team get eliminated too. You come back, and as soon as you have your people looking like they're ready to push, you do not give them time to get picked. You push again. And that's what you do. And if you just maximize your number of push attempts when you have 6 people there and go, hey, we're going to do this, it might feel bad, but you're much more likely to get your team to actually start pushing with you. Really, if you did it from that first one really sets the pace, but you're much more likely to get them to push with you. Sometimes will they still go, Ryan, what are you doing? You're feeding, etc. Of course, but you can't ultimately control your teammates. All you can do is influence them, and this is one of those things that can help. Getting that first one right, not giving them time to get picked off, that really is the key for setting this pace, and then don't break this pace. People like to play in the same way they've been playing. They have inertia in that sense. So if you set it as, no, we're doing pushes, they are more likely to do pushes with you. And if you, make instead of 3 pushes because your team was trying to get the choke the whole time, you make 8 pushes, 7 pushes, 6 pushes over the course of the match, even just onto first tier, or whatever the case may be. I have Hanamura pulled up for this example. You are more likely to get one of those to land your way. You're more likely to go, hey, especially if you're like, I don't want to have to count on my DPS to get ahead to do something. You don't have enough control of the match. If you do the pushes, you only need to, especially on those early ones, get it to go your way one time in order to make that happen. So maximize your number of pushes when it's 6-on-6, even if you're pushing into a disadvantaged situation where, hey, they have cooldowns, they have terrain, that can help you win extra matches. But then as you get a little bit better, you actually understand, as you get a bit better, as you move up a little higher, as you become a bit better at tank, you understand you can manipulate the game a bit to get more ahead. You can go, hey, I'm a Reinhardt, I can walk up here, I know what my Zarya's bubble cooldown is, and I can walk up here, intentionally tank trade, walk up here, maybe get 2 swings off with my Zarya bubble, then back out, and then wait like 5, 6, 7 seconds until, my next Zarya bubble is going to be up by the time I get back up there. And now this time my push is going to be real. I pushed. First time was a tank trade where I went up there, traded some of my health, some of my resources, some of my shield with their Orisa, maybe with their Rein, whatever, tried to force their Fortify, maybe I got it, maybe I didn't, got my Zarya some energy, and now this second push, this first one was a tank trade, a soft push, whatever the case may be, to get Zarya some energy, to pull some attention to me, to see if Hanzo could get a pick, to pull some attention to me, to see if Anna could make a nade happen, something along those lines, but you're going to see what cooldowns come out, and maybe you got Fortify, maybe they flinched and lamped. Maybe the only thing that happened was your Zarya got energy, but it's still now going to create a better second push, real push, than you would have had this first time, where you go, hey, my Zarya has energy. Or maybe you're against a Rein Zarya and you're able to starve. You go, hey, we got energy from this bubble, and you guys didn't. So maybe we're just going to convert this soft push as it is right here into the hard push, and I'm just going to keep going. And that is perfectly fine. Or maybe you're going to do the little back off thing, and now we're going to go and while Zarya's energy. But you can manipulate for these resource advantages. You can see, oh, their Anna spent nade, and I was able to block it. I'm now going to convert this to a real push because my Anna still has nade, or my BAP still has lamp, that sort of thing. And you can recognize, hey, you're going in there for softer pushes, maybe just to get 2 swings, just to see what you can shake out, and then you can either back up to cover and get healed up faster than those cooldowns come back, and then push back in for real, or you can go, no, we're ahead enough, I'm just going to push for real right now, because those cooldowns got 0 value. Like, if you swing and force Fortify, you'd probably consider backing up and going. If you blocked a sleep and a nade and a Roadhog hook, you might go, no, I'm going to continue pushing right now, and we're going to make this real because we're up on cooldowns, and these aren't cooldowns that have a duration like Fortify does, like a lamp does if it's around a corner, that sort of thing. So that's the like higher level understanding of how to get it. It can mean you get less total pushes, but it manipulates it in your favor, and what you'll find is, hey, you can do that. You can make your pushes better. If you have those cooldown leads, hopefully your team will be more willing to push. And even if they're not, they sort of have a little longer to get it through their heads of, oh, we're pushing, because you got some of those scary cooldowns out first. So you're not getting blown up immediately by rotating with them. You're also doing a better job of tracking whether your team has the cooldowns to support you. Because it's not just, did they use Fortify? Did they use Bubble? Did they use Ananade? Did they use Lamp? It's also about, what do we have? Did they use bubble and we didn't, so we still have ours? Are we ahead on energy because we used our bubbles better? Did they use lamp but we still have nade? Did they use nade but we still have lamp? Whatever the case may be there, that's what we're looking for, and you're figuring out, oh, I'm fighting this until these softer trades that don't actually cause me to get wiped, but just cause me to go, nope, I don't want to convert this to a real push. It's too dangerous, until you see one that you do, and then you can take those better pushes, even when your team is being resistant. And then the final thing that you run into, sort of your final solution for, hey, my team just is not pushing when I push. I tried to set them on the right pace. I tried to set the tempo from the very beginning, or I'm doing my tank trading effectively, but they're still not pushing even when we have a 3 massive cooldown advantage or a 20% total team health advantage. They're still not pushing with me, and I can see that, yes, my Tracer is absolutely ready to go in. Well, here's the next step. You can go, okay, I just don't get to be the leader. The team's not going to play to my pace, so I have to play to someone on the team's pace. So when Tracer gets bored and goes in off of BAP, I don't expect Tracer to win to just solo take out the BAP. But when the Tracer does this, that means at least someone on my team is trying to do something, so now I'm going to push. And now at least there's 2 of us. And if there's at least 2 of us, that's a lot more momentum for your team to go, oh, is this a real push? I guess this is a real push, and then being more willing to actually go in. It's also going to put less pressure on you because, again, someone's going to be distracted, which means you'll get blown up less fast. And if you're blown up less fast, that gives your team more time. And even if it takes them 2 seconds to get in there to get to a place where they can help, even though it should have taken them half a second, you might still be alive for them to help for that to work. So if you're really struggling, your 4th solution is, I'm going to have to play to my team's tempo, not my whole team, because your whole team will probably be interested in poking in the choke, but to the tempo of someone on my team who's doing something. And this doesn't have to be a Tracer. This could be, hey, my Zarya's going up thinking that she's going to soak some energy, and you're going, yep, I'll walk up right behind you, Zarya. You can do your energy soaking. That's cool. You're done with that. Now I'm going forward and pushing ahead of you. And she's like, wait, I just wanted to go get energy. Nope. You turn that into a real push. That's a thing you can do. You can turn aggressive posturing by someone into this. That said, to be perfectly honest, of your hero pool, the specific player here of Reinhardt and Winston, the better hero to play in this follow-up style with is generally going to be Winston. You can find situations where, hey, Hanzo tries to do some poking, Hanzo tries to do some work. You were aware Hanzo hit a body shot, so you do your follow-up leap. You do your follow-up leap on a body shot, or Pharah hits a direct, you do your follow-up leap, or you see a Discord plus a Zen shot hits, you do a follow-up leap, a nade hits, you do a follow-up leap, and then try to survive, but you effectively become you are the follow-up person on openings, rather than you jumping in and going, yes, I'm going to distract you, pay attention to me, and now it's easy for my Hanzo to hop up here and poke and maybe get some finishes, or maybe a Genji to come in here and go, hey, I'm going to dash through this. Instead of that, you've created a situation where you go, I'm going to pay a ton of attention. If my teammates won't pay attention to what I do, I'll pay attention to what my teammates do, and I'll just go in there and hit follow-up eliminations. And then you try to rotate out, you try to stall yourself, you try to drop off, rotate around cover, whatever it is, until you get a cooldown out so you can get out again. But in that time of you getting the follow-up, well, that's a pick, and your team is probably willing to push off of picks. They're probably especially willing to push off of picks if they also see their tank is in. That's sort of your 4th solution there. So those are the solutions. That's actually the order I'd recommend you go through them too, because a full-on half of your problems for most players when they're finding is a tank that their team won't push with them can be solved with actually make sure your team is they are ready to push, not 3 seconds away from being able to push, not just spawned, not are alive, not are halfway through rotating up their flank, but are actually positioned in such a way that they could push within about half a second, but factoring in the reaction times, they'll probably push in within about a second and a half if you start the push. That would be the first thing, most important. Again, second thing, in those lower level games, you can just maximize your number of pushes. You can really set the pace, especially on that first push of pushing is what we're doing. Don't wait for them more than 2 to 3 seconds to catch up on that first push out of spawn and set the tone that pushes or what you're going to do. That third thing would be as you level up a bit more, you can really understand, okay, I'll try to trade for a resource advantage. That could be health, that could be cooldowns, but you're tracking both your opponent's resources and your resources. And then when you have a resource lead, you turn it into a real push, or you back out, get healed up, and then push in while they're still down those cooldowns. Either one depends on the cooldowns that you're talking about. And that, again, artificially gives your team more time to follow up, your team more willingness to follow in, because the opposing team is weaker. They blow you up less fast. And then when all else fails, you can be the follow-up bot. You do not have to be the initiator. Tracer can be your initiator. Hanzo can be your initiator. The Pharah who has a Mercy with her already supporting her can be your initiator. It can be a, hey, our initiation is going to be poke, and I'm going to follow up and finish off that poke and then just try to survive. That's really what I'd recommend. If you or anyone else has questions, go ahead and throw them up in chat. If other people have questions related to this, related to other things, you can certainly throw those in chat as well. Otherwise, I will read a couple of the comments here, see how people did. I actually don't know that I did link this one in the description. So let's do a quick link into this description here. There we go. That'll work. Now it should be linked in the description. And yeah, this is what we're looking at. So let's take a quick look at chat. If you're enjoying the content, please do drop a like, consider subscribing, all that. This is an easy problem to fix. Start off by reporting the Lucio and Mercy for throwing. That's wrong. You're supposed to stand in the choke and Rein dance with your shield. It's not though, Blah. It's not. No getting you Zarya charged. So I covered that. I did cover that, Ammon. As you get better, you're going to go a little bit more into the no, we're intentionally going to get it. As you level up, you start to understand the resource thing of, hey, we're going to trade for the advantage here. But if you're really struggling with your teams just not pushing with you, that sort of thing, really setting the tempo for those rotations for no, we're pushing immediately can actually be quite helpful. Good map to charge someone off the map when on attack. You can do that. Yes, that'll work for more than half the ladder, I'll say. When is the new Overwatch 2 comps? 4v4 with 2-1-1. The new queue system will text you 5 minutes before your game will start. We'll see. We'll see. Okay, so let's take a look and see what people said here. Here's our comments. Cool. Let's do a quick refresh to get other people's comments. You guys should go move my comment to the top so more people see this. I'd appreciate that. But heck, watch everyone for Given's tank to unrank to GM. That could work. I haven't seen his. Silver Gold, it's a struggle because of what he said. Passive teammates. And again, you can solve that in a lot of different ways. Really make sure they're ready. Play for the follow-up, maximize number of pushes, or play a little more for the tank trades and then push in when you know you're ahead on resources so you can survive a little bit even if they're a little slow on the uptick to follow you. Monkey play is good. Capitalize on that until you have a more confident team. But you have to play Monkey in a specific way. You have to play Monkey for the follow-ups, or you have to play Monkey walking up the flanks. You can't just play the Monkey that you'd usually play Monkey Zarya style, where you jump in and hard engage, because your team won't follow you the same way they wouldn't follow you on the Reinhardt there. Blast says, I think the issue in low ranks is more passive tanks than passive teammates. Unfortunately, it's both. Unfortunately, it's both, Blah. You probably... you may notice passive teammates more than passive tanks, but both of those absolutely happen, and some tanks will just get blown up because their team is expecting, maybe their team is expecting, like the other tanks, that tank was just going to sit at the choke and let them poke at the choke, but also tanks sort of get trained into poking at the choke because their team doesn't push with them. Chicken or the egg thing. Chicken or the egg thing. Supports and DPS will have no problems running in solo on their own without the tanks. That's not strictly true. That's not strictly true. Again, that's an everyone problem. The thing that prevents fully playing Winston all the time is teammates will say we need a shield tank because their brains can't handle advanced concepts of playing cover and peeking. That's the truth. But you know what? You're playing the game. You know, you're playing your game. You're playing your account. You just need to not care. If you want to play that shield tank for them, fine. But, you know, if your first 3 solutions aren't working and that follow-up solution is going to be your solution, then they're just going to have to do without the shield. Want to ignore them, play ball. He wants to play Reinhardt and Winston, which is fine. Run is inherently a team-based tank where your success is heavily related to your team's ability to synergize with you and vice versa. Yeah, Reinhardt is an engine that you want to pour a lot of fuel into. The more fuel you can give him, the more of a monster he is, but if you don't give him any fuel, he's a bad hero. Because of this, if you are playing at a lowish elo, then it can be quite hard to climb if you don't bring something else to the table. So that's sort of true, but like, he tends to get pretty good fuel, not in every game, but in a lot of games, because there's a lot of double flux support in low elo. There's a lot of healing, like just mass healing the tanks and not paying attention to the DPS. So he frequently gets a reasonable amount of fuel in low elo. And he needs to do a better job of convert it in terms of not Rein dancing, having decisive pushes, whatever. I don't know that that's the problem for this player, but hey. The easiest way to climb as Reinhardt is to out-mechanic all the other main tanks in your elo, hit bigger slams, get ult faster, block enemy ultimates. Not really. Have better shield management? Sure. Better shield management can help. Play corners better? Sure. I don't consider all these things out-mechanicking them. Like, be more decisive than your opponents as Reinhardt? Absolutely. Decide that you're going to get more swings in than they do? Absolutely. Play your corners better? Absolutely. But I don't actually think it's that important. Like, yes, don't get shattered on cooldown. And yes, hitting bigger shatters will help, but I don't consider, oh, you have to win the shatter war. You have to have the better blocks and the better shatters and outbait them. No, you can get past the, 2000 SR that this guy is topping out at quite easily without being particularly good at the shatter or pin wars. I don't consider those the easiest way to rank up either. I consider those like you're training your reflexes to be better, you're priming yourself better to watch for those. I consider it much easier to decide that you're going to get more swing-ins, to decide that you're going to push from cover to cover, that when you start a push, you're going to continue your push, to decide that you're going to swing until you're out of armor and then hard shield and then fall back to the cover or stabilize and then go back into swinging the instant you have armor again. Like, I think those are probably easier, honestly, than make your reflexes better on counter pins, on blocking shatters, on hitting shatters, etc. Okay. For example, they were playing Rein yesterday in a tank duo. Every other fight, we would bomb shatter or bomb charge. Then suddenly it doesn't matter whether or not my team playing Overwatch. Right, because tank duos are some of the most powerful synergies of the game. For those who haven't seen, I did a video probably a couple weeks ago on duoing, and trioing. And tank duos are some of the most powerful duos in the game. And yes, if you actually play as a duo and actually play to abuse the synergies that you have when you're playing as a duo, tank duos are fantastic. But again, that's not really what Cbro was saying before here. When you reach an elo where you feel like your team is probably more capable of matching your aggression, your supports are more likely to support you in aggressive situations, and the enemy is more likely to be coordinated enough not to let you get away with dumb stuff, then you can start adopting a less selfish mindset. Now, you be as selfish as the enemy team will let you get away with all the time. That's kind of the rule of Reinhardt. How aggressive am I going to play? Exactly as aggressive as the enemy team will let me get away with. Really, what I mean by supporting my aggression is that my team support seems to be unable to support anything. Often I'm stuck with Moira, who tends to walk 1v6 in front of our tank line and just die, or I get Lucio, who does nothing all match, then drops his beat 1v6 to survive longer. It's just everyone has those teammates. I don't care. Like, everyone has those teammates, and if you stopped looking for those teammates on your team and started looking for them on the other team, you would probably find someone that you can exploit. You would find, oh, this Lucio hasn't beat it, and we're 2 minutes, 3 minutes into this game. I can just trust. I don't need to try to force his beat before I go for my blade. I can just, blade on cooldown, or I can just play for this, or, or, hey, this support plays really aggressive. Can I bait that and punish it? Or, hey, this McCree never takes flanks. Huh. I'm gonna delay this fight, take the flank, and just take out their backline from behind. Like, if you stop looking and stop getting annoyed at your own team, you're gonna recognize the other team just about as frequently has teammates who are doing silly stuff, different silly stuff, but silly stuff. And if you look for that and how to punish it, that will make you a better player at Overwatch. Not able to identify your issues, complained about your teammates, can't do anything, sure. What does Bronzy say? Kind of answered your own question, but Rein is a character heavily dependent on the team to do good. He does need resources from the team, sure. You're always playing melee distance in front of the enemy team, and oftentimes you'll see that, yeah, don't have a Lucio. I don't love where he's going with this. Okay. Anything else with nothing else as high up votes here? Okay. So let me do one last catch up on the chat. The fix is chicken omelets. Ooh. Go for some omelets right now. The puppet. Okay. Okay. Puppet doesn't have issues pushing at chokes. That's true. Your Rhymes are the opposite problem. They play too aggressive to be healed. Well, where they push out of your line of sight. So if we go back here, we're like, we have our Anna who's trying to heal from here, and the Reinhardt pushes up around here, and you're like, what am I supposed to do about that? That sort of thing. Yeah, that is a problem that Rhymes have to be aware of. They do have to be aware of where the fight's taking place, where the support line is, but supports also have to be aware of where's the fight likely to take place and need to be pre-adjusting for where the fight is likely to go. Because if the fight should be happening over here, Reinhardt kind of needs to go over here. But, you know, that doesn't mean he has to go over there right away. That doesn't mean that there aren't other people to clear, that sort of thing. Okay. I think that's going to do it. Again, if you guys are enjoying, please drop a like. Consider subscribing if you haven't already done so. If you'd like to get coaching, or if you'd like to see when these things are live, so you can go, hey, I want to be here for these. I have questions that I want to ask. I wish I'd been able to get my question in, or I want to see what sort of topics get covered. He covered ult tracking yesterday. He covered what to do as a main tank when your team won't push with you today. He's reviews other people's guides and tier lists. He covers the collegiate. I want to be here for some of these things, but not all of them. Join the Discord. You can in there react to become a watcher, get pings when we go live, see if the topic is something interesting for you today. But that is going to do it. And I will see you guys in the next one.